My name is Dr. Valerie Cologne, and I have the honor of introducing Lauren Parker. Lauren is the Work Life Managing Editor. Lauren, go ahead, introduce yourself to everybody. Let us know, what do you do at Atlassian as the Managing Editor of Work Life? And I'll tell you in a moment how this connects to tarot.
Yeah. So thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about tarot. So Work Life is Atlassian's brand publication, which is a fancy way of saying corporate blog. But the part I run is more thought leadership, more emphasis on practices than our products, although, we talk about those too. And it's really the most plain spoken way of saying our mission is to help people do their jobs better, whether that's through like upskilling as an individual or learning new practices to bring to your team. And just, I'm kind of always trying to figure out helpful ways or mindsets that people can adopt to make work make work better for themselves and for their teams. So yeah, I just if you go to the work life blog, when I go to the work life blog, I should say like I see myself on the page. So my job is really like curating everything that happens on that property and um, trying
That's
to
awesome.
figure out what's next. Yeah.
So if I wanted to see myself on the blog and I had a topic for you, is there a way I can contact the work life group to say, hey, could you do an article on this? This would be really great. I wanna know more about this concept. Where can I submit some suggestions?
That's a great question. We don't have a formal process for external submissions. We get them now and then. Usually I just get them in my email, which is lparker@atlassian.com. We have our like content goals and delivery goals and mission goals to consider. So we don't want to work through that. But I'm always excited to hear uh, ideas and especially from people who are, our audience, people who aren't constantly like drinking the Atlassian Kool-Aid like I am. It's good to get external
I
perspective.
think we all drink the Kool-Aid a little bit,
Yeah.
but no, I love that having different perspectives chime in to see like where the overlap is with the community and then what Atlassian is showcasing on the blogs. So if you haven't subscribed to the Work Life blog, please do subscribe, check out what they're doing, give them feedback on some of the content that they're putting out there. So what is the connection between Work Life and tarot? How did this happen?
Sure. So, a freelance writer that I work with frequently, we were just talking about ideas for, what can we do beyond long form blogs? What might be some fun activations that we can bring to work life? And she pitched tarot as a really like a work life tarot deck as a really general idea, which I loved. And then when it came time to start planning for Team 25, I pitched a work life booth, which was the first ever. And I knew immediately I wanted to do tarot. So, freelancer's idea, we kind of figured out the logistics together. An Atlassian illustrator designed all the cards from scratch. They're all original designs. It was just such a rewarding collaborative experience with all those individuals and a bunch of other people too, obviously, because it was a big project. But yeah, it really like totally like grew from a little kernel of an idea. And then I think the Team 25 activation part of it really brought it to life.
Yeah, and I gotta say, my experience at Team 25 was a little different. It's not the same typical conference that people are used to, where it's just passive going from booth to booth and hearing basically sales pitches. This was very interactive, engaging experience, and that's why it caught my eye. And what happened for those who didn't get the experience is one of my team members, Sarah, who couldn't join us today, Sarah Wright, stopped by your booth, picked up a deck of cards. And then the next day we were interviewing Mike Cannon, and he's the CEO of Atlassian. And she was like, hey, I just stopped by this booth. I had this really cool experience with this deck of cards. I wonder if Mike would mind answering one of them. So she selected three of the cards, put them on the table next to him, and asked him if he could answer a few. And he didn't know that they were from the Work Life booth. He just saw these cards, were picking them up, and he had a moment where he was like, this is a really good question. And so they were very thoughtful questions, thoughtful cards that we had selected for him to read from. And so that got the collaboration going of like, these conversation starters, these tarots, cards might have something there. So we stopped by your booth the next day and to tell you about how Mike was able to read some of them on air, which was really awesome. And then the next day I had a brain day, and it was on Confluence Whiteboards, so completely unrelated. And I was talking to people and I was like, hey, what was your favorite part of the conference? And she's like, oh, nothing. And then mid-conversation, she's like, oh, wait. I went to the Work Life booth and I had a tarot reading. And I don't want to share this like her video, but I did record her explaining her experience, and you could see like the tears coming out of her eyes because you didn't have enough time to give her a full reading. You like the 2 or 5 selection of the deck. You were only able to pick one card for her, and it was the promotion card. And you could tell, and as she's telling me the story, that she has been thinking on this promotion for a very, very long time. And this reading really affirmed some of her beliefs. And I do have to check in with her soon to say, okay, did you get the promotion? But it was one of those experiences that you don't exactly expect to get from a conference, but you did, and through these cards, and that really resonated with me. And afterwards, I had to reach out to you to say, hey, let's do some kind of event around these cards, because it's a very different take on what it means to be reflective in the workplace. And it's fun to get these tarot cards. It takes down that barrier that people have, and it really engages their reflection through the workplace in a very different way. So thank you for joining us today. I have a couple more questions for you, if you don't mind. All right,
Mhm.
one of the questions is, so if you had to describe, let's get into the cards. If you had to describe work life's tarot card, which one would it be? And I'm going to put a link in the chat. This is to our deck. I know it's a long link, but click on it, and then it says open in Confluence. You have to click the button that says open in Confluence. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the full experience of moving your cards around.
I chose one for that. Okay. One of my favorite cards is the customer. And the general meaning behind this card is pretty straightforward. It's like, what are we doing this all for? Try to cut through the to-do list and the work drama and whatever, and try to remember, for us, it's customers. But whatever work you do or however you spend your time, who are you doing it for, and what value are you bringing to those people or to the world? So, that's obviously something we always try to keep in mind. Our audience is our customers, and that's the first thing I thought of when you asked that.
Now, if you had to describe work life today, not the blog, but just the state of working, we've had a lot going on in work, from work from home to companies pulling people back from work from home. What card would you use to describe the state of work today?
Yeah, I love the examples you gave, because the card I chose for that is the offsite. And again, the basic meaning of this card is, if you think about going to an offsite with your team, lots of benefits there, but I'd ask you to focus on kind of the mindset shifts that you enjoy from that. Maybe you get to know someone, a colleague, a little better. Maybe you were able to collaborate in person on something that made it like that much more meaningful to you, or gave you a new perspective because you were in person. Maybe you got to travel somewhere new. And the way that applies to just kind of the general state of work, I think, is, there's no card that can predict or summarize all the ways that work is changing or will change or has changed. But I think keeping in mind, let's have a flexible mind. Let's be flexible in our perspectives. Let's embrace, research-backed practices rather than what we've always just done and defaulting to that. So I think, yeah, like having a flexible mindset and being kind of interrogating the mindsets we do have around ways of working is kind of like why I chose that card.
Yeah, and I think that's good advice because in one of the things that we talk about when we talk about how to be sustainable and how to have a resilient mindset is challenging our own perspectives and just having an open mind. There is a lot of uncomfortableness with the uncertainty that comes to what is work going to look like in the future with AI. I want to recognize that, and I want to validate. Yes, the concern is real. Anyone who has those unsettling feelings has a 110% right to feel that way. But challenging your perspectives, keeping that open mindset when you can, staying away from those that concept of scarcity, like there's just not enough, will help us as we transition into the future of work. Last question for you. Work life log focuses on well being, collaboration, productivity. Which card best embodies the challenges and triumphs of hybrid work?
Oh, a hybrid. Okay. I cheated a little bit on this because I chose two cards, but they complement each other. So here we have the introvert and the extrovert. And again, these can be, if you pull this card in a reading, maybe you really identify as one or the other, but it's really more about recognizing the benefits and what connection to others can give you, and also what solitude and time alone can give you. They are both really valid ways of spending time with your thoughts or with a thought partner. And so I like the way they complement each other. And in terms of hybrid work, like I think work in general should be flexible and should teams and individuals should do what works for them, not what is prescribed by some random blog or thought leader. Like you take what works for you. And that's another thing we try to do in the blog, is consider every team is different, every person is different. And so we have, introverts and extroverts, and we have people who work better independently and people who want to collaborate with others all the time. And those are both valid, and there are ways of working that cater to every individual. And we should remember that when we're, coming up with our mandates and our ways of working and the future of work
I
itself.
love that. No, so I'm doing a session on neurodiversity and
Mm.
how neurodiversity is a power. It gives us the ability to be innovative because you're looking at the various different perspectives. And when we make a workplace that is caters to one perspective too much, you get some of the not so positives. You get groupthink, which everyone is sitting in an echo chamber. You're limited to the amount of problems that you can solve because you're just so narrowly focused. But in embracing a neurodiverse community, you open yourself up to greater possibilities. So I like that you represented both the introvert and the extrovert. A lot of people assume that I'm an extrovert. I am not. I am 110%. I live in the woods in the middle of nowhere. I'm a hardcore introvert. I just have honed the extrovert skill for work purposes. So we're gonna jump in. I will screen share my board. Now you can download this here, right here, on the Work Life blog. I have a deck, but I've put the deck in Confluence because what I've done is also created a companion Rovo agent to go along with your readings. So if you're trying to give readings and you can't for some reason remember, or you want to go into a little depth, don't worry. We have a Rovo agent that helps you out on that. So I have sent the link to the waiting room. I'm going to switch over to our board. This is our board. You can see here that we have our waiting room. Hector is in our waiting room. Jose is waiting in our waiting room. If you're having trouble picking anything up, it is because you have to click that button that says open in Confluence, and that should get you into our board. So we have 8 different boards. If you want to, we have more than 8 boards. We have lots of boards. You can pick a board and play with them. You can duplicate them. I will send this board out that you can copy in your own workplace and play. Look at Lori is moving some cards around. Those of you who are new to the Atlassian whiteboards. So zoom in and zoom out is in your lower right-hand corner. You can also use the scroll bar on your mouse if you click, let's see, is it shift or control? I'm just moving things around. If you click the right arrow, it'll grab it, and then if you zoom in is control and scroll bar. You can see my board going wonky. All right, so grab is the right button, and it'll move the board around for you. You can zoom in and zoom out in the lower right-hand corner, or you can use your scroll wheel and cursor. And then there's also the pointer and the grab button here in your toolbar or your center toolbar. There's the hand and the pointer. All right, so in the waiting room, there is instructions on how to work a whiteboard. You can see I loomed it for you here. You can play this at any time and hear all those instructions again. And when I copy things over, hopefully that loom will copy over with you. So you can, when you share this with others, you will know. And in this loom right here has the instructions on how to give a reading. Now, we're gonna do a reading for me right now. Lauren, if you're gonna take it away, we'll use space one. So what you do first is you cover up your cards. And to cover it up, you just click your mouse button, your left mouse button, highlight all of the cards at once, and then cover them. Now, Lauren, how do you typically start off a reading?
Yeah, so in person, we'd shuffle and we'd kind of do a whole, you need to interact with the cards. But virtually, I think you can sort of, if you want to think of it as setting an intention, you can, but think about something going on for you at work, whether it's a challenge or a conflict or even something that already happened that you want to reflect on. It can really be anything. And, depending on how woo-woo you want to get, like, channel that, manifest it, ask the
Okay.
universe.
I'm going to
Um,
ask the universe. I'm going to channel, and I'll share my question with the audience. You don't have to when you do these readings. I don't think you have to share your intention as long as you keep your intention in mind as you have the reading. It does help to have those conversations to really unpack thoughts if you do share your intention. But so we're doing a global AI activation, and I have a lot of thoughts around this. Um, Right now, my thoughts are focusing on the concerns of like hype versus people having fears around it, but I want to keep it positive. So I just want to put out there the AI global adoption of Rovo.
okay, great. So whenever you're ready, you can choose whichever card you want, and we'll talk about what it means, kind of in general. Okay, that is the out of office card. I can't quite, yeah.
Yes.
So the
Wow. I'm like, you knew the card just from the small
Oh
thing.
yeah, well, yeah, I did a lot of these at team. So the out of office card can generally mean you need to go on a vacation, you need a rest, that kind of thing. But if you look at, the different symbols on there, like going on a mountain trek vacation is very different than a laying on the beach vacation, right? So what if you don't need a rest? What if you instead need a change of scenery, a change of mindset? What if you need to rest sort of one part of your psyche and activate another? So, for example, if you're thinking about like conflicting opinions or feelings on this AI activation, do you need to focus on a different aspect of it? Are you too heavily focused on, for example, like one of the negatives and need to refocus on a positive? Kind of use a different part of your brain muscle to make it all make sense for you.
Oh, I love that. So one of the things that you just did that I really like, you gave various different perspectives on how I can reflect based on that card. And that's kind of a way people could use this in their work life to break the ice with various different people and talk about topics that can be challenging to talk about, like fears around the activation of a large scale project. People don't want to bring them up because it means that if you have fear, it could be associated with, oh, do you feel not confident in doing your job? Well, no, I feel truly confident in doing this rollout. It's just there's natural fears that you have associated to it. And just to talk out some of those fears with someone else, these cards provide a reflective tool. And so to pick the cards, all I did is move those three. So you can pick up to five in this process. So you just drag and drop them to unveil them and then zoom in to see which cards they are. Are there any instructions that people should think about when doing a tarot reading?
Yeah, besides the more prescriptive, like here's what the cards mean and here's how many you can draw, I would say there's no wrong way to do it, really. At team, we had three of us doing the readings, and I would overhear my colleagues doing them, and I was like, oh, that's different than what I would say about that card, but they are both valid. So it's really, I would say, being intentional about applying a lens to whatever you're talking about is really the only thing you have to do. Even if you turn over a card and you say, look, it's three pens. What might each of these pens do? That's not really the intention behind the card. You're not supposed to talk about what each pen does, but that's a helpful lens to look at something with. Is one of them permanent? Is one of them erasable? Is one is it a trick pen? Like I think yeah, thinking beyond am I doing it right or am I memorizing precisely what every card means? That's besides the point. What you want is to engage in a new way of thinking about whatever is on your mind.
I love that. And so if people are concerned about memorizing each card, we don't want to add to your work plate. I think everybody's work plate is full. If you click the chat button in the upper right-hand corner, this is Rovo, and it has to have this star. Otherwise, it's just the commenting emoji. So if you click on this, click on agents, and then Work Life Tarot, I have designed an agent just for this. If you want to add this agent to your workplace, I will send you the information, the instructions in order to make this. It's really copy paste, 100%. So click on here and then let's do a reverse reading. Lauren, will you pick a card? Set your
Oh,
intention and will you pick a card? You can pick up to
yeah.
five. So like I can ask this, what are the instructions to do it, to do tarot? And then it'll tell me the instructions. But Lauren, go ahead and pick your card.
Okay, so I am not like on the whiteboard right now. Is it okay if I just choose one from my deck here and then you can take it? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I am thinking, okay. I got the five of bulbs.
Okay. So do you have your question in mind?
Yes. Well, so my team, it's like a big version of my team. Both brand and creative teams are having an offsite next week, and so I was just sort of asking the university, like, what should I keep in mind? How should I be anticipating this? And if I may say, this is a great card for that. I'm really happy I pulled it.
Yay. All right. So I just told Rovo, Lauren picked a five of bulbs card in a one card reading. You do have uh you can pick one card, two card, three, up to five cards. And there's instructions here. So it says, and I always like to be dramatic. The card invites us to reflect on the dynamics of collaboration and challenges that can arise when too many bright ideas compete for attention. So it even gives you a script that you can use when you have these readings. The interpretation of the Five of Bars encourages you to rethink your approach to collaboration. How can you ensure that every voice is heard and every idea has a chance to shine? It might be time to consider a new setting or format to your meeting to foster creativity and inclusivity. Be mindful not to dim anyone's light, including your own. And what I did was add a little reflective prompt in here. So you can say, consider how you can create an environment where all participants feel valued and heard. What challenges can you make to your current approach to ensure that every idea has space to grow and flourish? So it's a creative take on coaching. Great. That is our session for today. It was just a quick run through of what you could do with these tarot cards online and how to use the Rovo agent in order to do some readings. Lauren, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
I really love this. Are the cards coming to Barcelona?
Signs are looking good. Nothing is finalized in terms of the expo floor yet, I think, but pretty good chance you'll see tarot at Team Europe.
Okay, save me a deck. I know they went quick, like they went really quick. So save me a
Yep.
deck, put a sticky
We'll
note
get
on
more.
it
We'll get
if
more
they
next
do
time.
come. All right. Thank you all for coming. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Valerie.